Part 2. After the train crash, the player is thrown down a chute into a trash compactor by Catnap. After escaping, the player travels through a series of maintenance tunnels, and in the process of escaping, he hears a phone ringing in the distance. Finding and answering the phone, the player finds himself communicating with an unknown character who gives his name as Ollie. With this newfound phone call, Ollie promises to guide the player as he explains the ongoing situation. The player returns to the train and proceeds to enter Playcare via Elliot's Express, where they hear a speech by Elliot Ludwig, introducing their ideologies and thoughts during the creation of Playcare. I will give you a brief summary of this story, and we will go into deeper details in the next videos. To continue with the topic, after arriving at Playcare, Ollie gives the player the key to the gas production zone, which is used to power the building and also produces a gas called red smoke. After activating the console, the power is cut. Ollie tasks the player with reactivating the power and using backup generators from various locations to power the gas production zone to reach Catnap. Ollie then tells the player to first enter Home Sweet Home, an abandoned home for all orphaned children. Once inside Home Sweet Home, the player inhales red smoke, which causes Catnap to manipulate them into believing that they are still conscious, while in the real world they can be seen as unconscious. As they make their way through a maze of seemingly endless corridors, they also come across audio recordings claiming that a dead child was found in Elliot Ludwig's mansion. The player reaches the end of the corridors, where he watches a tape inviting employees to the Playtime Co. factory. The tape becomes increasingly disturbing and begins to call out the player specifically for returning and describing the incomprehensibly horrors currently inhabiting the factory. The player is forced to stare at the screen until a twisted, distorted version of Oogie Woogie appears on television. The actor tries to escape in a futile attempt, but is soon captured and eaten. They then wake up in the real Home Sweet Home and soon discover a gas mask. I'm sorry to interrupt this story here. Just in return for this effort, you can like the video and express your opinion about this cartoon series in the comments. If you are still not subscribed to my channel, you can subscribe, thank you, to join members. Don't forget to come to my Discord server for chat and theories, and welcome to my channel and video. After activating Home Sweet Home's generator and leaving, Kissy Missy tries to kill the player until she is stopped by Poppy. Feeling remorseful, Poppy explains that the player must get rid of the monsters tormenting them. She explains that if they try to escape, the prototype will kill the player and must be killed. Ollie tells the player to go to the school to give the power back. While trying to turn on the generator, the player encounters Mrs. Delight, the school's only remaining teacher, who was abandoned by her colleagues because they needed meat to feast on all the time. Miss Delight constantly threatens the player through the school's PA system, and after turning the power back on, damages the generator before chasing the player through various hallways and classrooms, only moving when they look away or when the lights go out. As the player approaches the school's maintenance exit, Miss Delight abandons the movement rule and attacks the player, who brings a door down on her, causing her to die instantly. The player picks up the orange hand and enters the caves of Playcare. There, After completing several puzzles, they see Catnap worshipping at a shrine of the prototype. Catnap does not notice the player disappearing after they look away. The player then enters the playhouse through the caves, where he fends off a swarm of mini smiling creatures via the orange hand. Once outside, they encounter a locked Dog Day who explains that the entire Playcare is Catnap's playground for acts of destruction, murder, and general violence. Dog Day also explains that Catnap takes orders from the prototype, worships him, and kills anyone who doesn't listen to his god. Shortly before his monologue ends, many smiling creatures invade Dog Day before kidnapping his body and chasing the player. The player escapes the possessed Dog Day, hearing their final screams before exiting the playhouse. Ollie then sends the player to the consultant's office as their final destination, where they find and watch a tape of a warning given to Playtime Co. employees on August 8, 1995, warning them of a hostile force and evacuation. While passing through the counselor's office, the player briefly returns to the caves. When they enter a red smoke-infested area while attempting to restore power to the building, the player is attacked by Catnap, who knocks the gas mask off their faces and sends them into a dream state where Poppy asks the player rhetorical questions, with various visions of the Shadow Children at Playcare. After the counseling office diverts its backup power to the statue, Ollie gives the player the last battery needed to power the gas production zone. They return to the zone, but Catnap ambushes them by filling the room with red smoke and chases the player into an elevator. The player enters the safe room and must fend off Catnap for 3 minutes as he constantly plays with the player through hallucinations. A green grab pack hand receiver eventually overcharges, and the player uses it to eliminate Catnap at the hand's sacrifice. Catnap is electrocuted and accidentally inhales red smoke, setting himself on fire. The prototype's arm emerges from the ceiling and offers to help Catnap before he brutally takes his own life. Back in the gas production zone, the player uses the battery to power the console, eventually diverting the gas and powering the area. They then encounter Poppy, who shows them a tape containing CCTV footage of what happened to the player's co-workers, an event the toys refer to as the Hour of Joy. The tape shows Huggy Wuggy, Mommy Longlegs, Boxy Boo, Miss Delight, Catnap, and other toys indiscriminately killing everyone present in the factory at the time, on the prototype's orders. Poppy then explains that she was assigned to the case where the player found her, but she heard everything that happened and was distraught by the needless slaughter of so many lives that day, including innocent ones. She therefore vowed to put an end to the prototype for what it had done. As Poppy and the player board an elevator deeper into the factory, Kissy Missy stays behind to activate it. As the elevator descends to the ground, Kissy is attacked by an unknown entity and Poppy flips the elevator to save her, but the door concealing the elevator closes, leaving the player and Poppy stranded in the deeper levels of the factory and leaving Kissy's fate uncertain.